Anyone has any questions regarding lesson plan, regarding implementation of lesson plan?
Ma'am, I wanted to ask you, where do we, like post our this one artifacts?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yeah, what was the question, Manjari?
Ma'am, the question is, where do we paste our like artifacts? Like, I didn't understand that part.
See, it's your artifacts. Again, what happens is you're taking your experienced teacher's lesson.
Yes.
Do not do that. That is not required for Unit 1. It is about your learning from the theories. How do
Okay.
you understand the theories? Okay, what is your understanding and your
Okay, then what do we then what will be the artifacts, ma'am? The pictures
that is your artifact. Your learning
Okay.
becomes your artifact.
Okay.
You
My
will artifact, it can be any diagrammatic representation, a flow chart, or no something that you would like to tell Cambridge that this is what I understood from the theories. Those become your artifacts.
Okay.
Okay.
Not the
I
pictures.
seriously.
Not the
No,
pictures
not
of the okay of the experienced teacher.
that is only from Unit 2 and Unit 3, your class, because remember, Cambridge is more interested in what you're implementing. So your
Okay.
class activities will come Unit 2 and Unit 3 only.
Okay, so
And I have again, yeah, sorry, I have
So I-
received concerns that some of you are not coordinating with your mentors. Okay, remember your assignment will be approved fast if you have a mentor who is already Cambridge certified. And another thing is, do not know, my sincere request is, do not look for candidates who have completed no teaching with digital technologies. Remember, their assignments are going to be different from your assignments. So if you're coordinating with them and you're going to submit, then no, again, you're going to land in trouble because the assignment requirements are going to be totally different. So please do talk with your mentor, get it approved, and please follow your module guide blindly because many of you are not following your module guide. Yes, Manjari, what was your question?
Yes, ma'am. So even the videos also need not be posted in Unit
No,
1.
no,
So only
no.
the diagram. That's it.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Fine, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, Champa, ma'am.
Ma'am, in Unit 1, we will post the evidence of learning, evidence of reflection. Do we have to post the lesson plan of the experienced teacher?
1 minute. The order is this. First is your evidence of learning. Experienced teacher's lesson plan is a must. Without this lesson plan, I will not be able to verify your observation visit form. After doing these two is your evidence of reflection. So this is the order it has to come. Clear all of you? Yeah.
Ma'am, I have submitted it to Anupama ma'am.
Sure.
So she is checking and she will give me tomorrow morning. Then I'll give you the.
No problem. That's why I said give it to your mentor because half of your review will be completed with your mentor. Coming to me again, returning back, it's going to take a lot of time because no, I think Chaitanya, she has done a good work. Her Unit 1 is done. So no, I can clearly see the mentor's input there in the way the writing has happened. Yes, Sharmila.
Ma'am, as per you asked, again I have reworked and I sent it to you yesterday, ma'am, the Unit 1, all
Yeah,
the...
you have sent, I've seen it. So give me time. Yesterday
Right.
I was not at all feeling well. So today morning I sat with, I think 1 or 2 I completed. I will complete it. Okay,
All
because
right.
those who have
Ma'am,
sent
so...
yesterday, I will take a little. Yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, so I have not submitted the artifacts. As you said, it is not compulsory, or do we need to keep the diagrams whichever we
It will be good if you do it for Unit 1 as one of your learning input.
Okay.
Sharmila, you're not audible.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. It will be good if you can do your learning as Unit 1 artifact, but Unit 2, Unit 3, you need to submit your class students' work. Remember, please don't think that this is how lessons. Cambridge doesn't require that. Based on your teaching, how did your students learn, and what is the learning that is there, that has to be evidenced properly. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Shravanti.
Ma'am, regarding to the lesson plan from the advanced class teacher, you told that it was little bit lengthy and just send her. So can I use it?
No, 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 it's not lengthy. Shravanti, you have given the 2 to 3 periods work together.
Yes, ma'am, completely. Yes, yes, she has done the same.
Cut short to only 1 period's work. Now remember, first thing Cambridge will ask is, are all these completed for a kindergarten child in 1 period?
No, no.
Now that should not be. That is why take only the portion that you have done for that 40 or 50 minutes and put it as your lesson plan.
Is it okay? Like, ma'am, we had this lesson plan, what you have given the template.
No,
Shall
your
I?
template is good. Your template is good. You do one thing, whatever was done in that period alone, keep, remove all the others that are not completed.
Two,
That's
three.
it.
Yeah, yeah. She has given us 2, 3, and that. Those things I will delete it and I'll
You
keep it.
delete it.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, done.
Yes, Kushi.
I also have reworked on it and I have shared 2 weeks back from the even lesson plan. I didn't get it.
Kushi, I didn't get yours.
No, ma'am. I have shared you. Then again, like you gave some inputs. I did it, but again, I
Because
didn't get it.
I didn't see yours, Kushi. I have seen Manjit,
2 weeks
Alisha,
back itself, I have
Ambika.
kept, ma'am. Even yesterday also, I kept a message and you said okay, ma'am, for lesson plan. Not
Yesterday, my
yesterday.
condition
No,
was not
not yesterday,
fit
ma'am.
and
Yeah,
work.
like Monday, sorry, Wednesday, I think.
Because no,
Wednesday or Thursday.
whatever mail I have, I keep it as unread. So that is how I work.
But I
So
have
let
shared
me
it
just
2 weeks back. Just
okay, let me just check again. Okay,
Even
because
yesterday I
I
have
didn't
sent my
see
yesterday night.
yours. Kushi, it's not there. I can see Ambika, Alisha, Shravanti, Sharmila. It's there. Yeah,
Ma'am,
yours is there. Yours is there, Kushi.
ma'am,
Yours is
even
there.
I have sent, ma'am.
You have shared Unit 2, not Unit 1. Kushi, you have said Unit 1 or Unit 2?
both I have shared. My unit 1, the changes which you told, ma'am, and unit 2
I've
lesson
got,
plan.
I am able to see only Unit 2. Okay, in the same
No.
folder it is?
Yes, ma'am, the same folder.
Okay,
I
then
didn't-
I will check. Tehseen ma'am, yours I have done already. I have posted the comments also.
Okay, ma'am. I checked yesterday. Let me again recheck. Maybe I missed, I think.
Ma'am, I have shared it in the morning after showing it to Anupma ma'am, and she has checked, and then I shared it in the morning. So if you can check whether you have received it or not.
Yeah, I will. Garima,
Yes.
just a minute. Garima, I have not received yours.
Garima Kumar 656, ma'am.
Tehseen, I asked you to do this change. Observation visit form you have sent. Okay. You didn't give me edit access. I've asked you for edit access. I didn't get any response.
Okay, ma'am.
Tehseen, yours, I just got it, but I could not do anything with your assignment. I replied back saying that give me edit access. I can't work without edit access. I'll
Okay,
not
ma'am.
be able to do anything without edit access. So you'll have to give me edit access. Please check. You would have received a notification saying that requesting edit access.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Okay.
And please do keep your evidence of learning and evidence of reflection separately, not as a single document. And references, compulsorily, you have to follow Harvard referencing only. You cannot be simply writing no references based on the authors. You will have to follow and you will have to note the same in the in-text also. Okay, all the references that you have written must also be marked in text. Yes, Alicia?
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am,
Morning.
how many references should we give, ma'am, generally? Like,
See, it depends based. See, the thing is general order is 100 words, one reference. General. But if you get 12 also fine, but don't go beyond 12 because they'll think that for every word you have taken a reference. That won't look nice.
so we should definitely give one reference for 100 words, at least like 8
Yes,
references
yes,
for every.
yes. For 800 words, 8 references is minimum, maximum of 12 references. Don't
Okay,
go
ma'am.
beyond that.
For UR, it will be 4 to 6, ma'am.
4 to 6, that's it. Yes, Garima.
Ma'am, so you have not received yet, ma'am?
No, I have not received yours.
Oh, I'll send it.
Yes, Shampa ma'am.
Ma'am, for the first one is 400 words. Can we like go to 450 to
800, EOL is
learning is
600.
800 words. Can we do 821?
That's what I said, 800, anything plus or minus 10%. But I would always prefer plus 10% rather than minus 10%. 800 to 880, 400 to 440, 600 to 660. So this is the range that we follow.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. In your portfolio, you need not give the word limit. As soon as you paste your this one, automatically you will get your word limit coming. Okay, word count coming. Right? Right. Any other questions?
Ma'am, I have actually showed it to my mentor. Actually, doesn't have much idea about FESDA at all, ma'am. So there is one teacher, junior teacher in my school, who has done last time. So when I showed her, only thing she mentioned that assessment ka it is missing. That you added. That is what she told me yesterday, ma'am.
Yours was totally on behaviorist. This one, right? Yours? No, you have to look through your module guide.
Okay.
You're with senior seats, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Senior seats, ma'am.
Senior seats, you don't have teachers who have completed.
No, ma'am. Actually, that is the major problem that I'm facing. Nobody is there. And the teacher who has done last time, she's a grade 2 teacher.
No, it has to, you're saying, you're talking about who is the teacher, ma'am?
Ma'am, for me, my mentor is this Shivani. She's a senior teacher in science. That's the reason for lesson plans and all. It will be easy so that she can check. So I made her the mentor. But now only Harita is the grade 2 teacher who is the one who has experience in FESDA. Nobody else other than that. So I'm
See, it
not able.
doesn't matter, ma'am. What you do is the exemplar is shared, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Look at how it is written. Take your module guide, okay? And you read through your module guide and do your answering.
Okay,
okay?
I'll
Yes,
just do it once.
yeah. You try it out. Otherwise, no. You let me know beforehand so that no one of the Saturdays I will join and I will help you out. It's not an issue.
Okay, sure, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, Sinduri, your general lesson plan is fine. Which campus are you from, Sinduri? Sinduri, which campus are you? Senior seats. Okay, no issues. Try it out. Okay, general lesson plan, your three lesson plan format is fine for unit 1. But don't do multiple colors. Use only black for that format because it looks very odd. Yes, and you can use your templates everything in from your unit 2 and use only Arial 10 font. Do not use any other font, especially in the templates, because EOL, EOR, whatever you do, when you're pasting in your portfolio, it will get converted to Arial 10. But in your template, remember you're going to upload in the form of PDF. So please maintain Arial 10 form. Okay. Yeah. So now your lesson plans, I need to start seeing. I think Kushi has sent. It's my mistake. I missed it. 2 or 3 other mails. I missed it. I will check that and send Kushi.
Yeah,
Okay.
ma'am. And I have sent the unit 2, ma'am. Lesson plan.
Unit 2. Okay, I'll check. Okay. Can you write one word, keyword or phrase from last week that has made an impact on you and give reason why in the chat box. A quick recap, because today it is more on reflection. Yeah. Okay, effective questioning. Direct observation, okay. Questioning approaches, fine. All now one person is given on questioning, everyone started with questioning. Huh? There were so many things that we discussed. Wait time, very good, Aarti ma'am. Yes, wait time. So you have written how much time we have to wait after questioning, correct. Wait time, right. Cues of questioning, I think that's what Preeti was trying to put. Yeah, any other? That's it. Formative assessments, okay. How to conduct formative assessments, yes. Any other? Others, what happened? I can see only use of flashcards, okay, right? Past. Yes, past. What were the things that we had gone through last week? I can see only questioning, flashcards coming. Other things, what happened? Wait time is good, yes. The others? The advantages and disadvantages, okay. Concept mapping and advanced organizers, right? Matching blocks, yes. Peer teaching, very good, right? That's it. Okay, I'll stop. I think now it is a bit passive. So we'll go to we'll see. Read through the assessment criteria from your module guide, developing thinking and practice. Evaluate the relation of keyword and its impact. Okay. In your module guide, there are 4 assessment criteria. You remember? Can you open your module guide? Able to open your module guide? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're open, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So can you open your module guide? Second, assessment criteria 2, developing thinking and practice. Now, please understand here, your unit 2, okay, your lesson plan, your EOP, your unit 2 observation form, feedback form, lesson plan is going to be evaluated based on this assessment criteria.
Sudha ma'am,
Yes.
I see somebody
Yes.
joined in an iPhone. May I know who is that, please?
I don't know. I thought it was Sir Narendra Sir because last time Sir came with iPhone.
Oh, okay, then fine, ma'am. So sorry. All right,
Because
ma'am.
that's the reason I didn't ask actually. Last time when Sir came, Sir was with iPhone.
Okay, ma'am. Sure. Thank you. Just wanted to check. Yeah.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
So if you look at your Unit 2 presentation, okay, mainly on the works that you have done, the lesson that you have instructed or you have practiced will be mainly on how you are actually presenting your work, okay, how you're justifying the work that you have done, connecting it with theories, academic conventions, proper referencing, okay, all that if it is properly followed, then only you will be, given the right grading, that is distinction or pass. If you can see, well-focused understanding of relevant theories and principles underlying practice and teaching applied to your own practice. Evidence of reflective evaluation of your own practice and identification of learning from experience. I want you to elaborate based on your understanding. What does that mean? Can you see here it is given a candidate will demonstrate their development, thinking and practice throughout their portfolio in the evidence of practice, a candidate's lesson plan, observe feedback and teaching activity log, you leave it off, that is for the unit 3. Okay, so all your EOP will be taken from developing thinking and practice. Evaluated rubrics will be from this. Now I want you to discuss on what is your understanding or what did you know or learn from these words. Yes, you can start talking. I don't know, it's looking very boring for me today. I am doing the talking, none of you are talking. See, you've given a keyword, isn't it? First, you tell me what exactly is the meaning of that statement that I marked now.
We can start our lesson with the SWOT analysis, where we will have to find the strengths and weaknesses of the candidates. Or we can start with a particular quote where we will ask them to think, pair, and share. So we will relate it to one of the theories. And
yeah, correct. You have to relate it to one of the, see, when you're saying think, pair, and share, why are you using it in your classroom? What does
yes.
theory say?
So
Okay.
theory of constructivism? No.
Yeah, it can be because they have to think, pair, and then share. Right. It can be constructivism.
So we will, on the basis of the constructivism says that we need to construct on a particular abstract concept to a concrete concept. So students will think, pair, and share, and will discuss on the abstract thing to construct one concrete and give it to the class. Like that, we will go to the next step where we give a new concept. There we can also analyze if we show a flashcard and build up a concept on that, where rationalism says that only reason is the major component of learning. But here we are using senses, which
Very true.
Is supported by Plato and Aristotle in their theory of learning. So, so we need to not only have reasoning, but also an application of the senses, where the auditory and the visual senses of the students are enhanced through a visual and audio effect when we are showing a video. So that will connect and then go to the assessment part. Like I'm going fast, we can use some more theories in between.
No, this, yes, you can. Now, remember why I'm asking you is your lesson plan will be there. Your observation visit form, remember the points that I told you will be there. When you're writing your reflection, what just now ma'am told, why I did that activity, what was told in the theory, when I did what I experienced, okay, and what was its impact. So this connection should come in your reflection. That's the reason I'm asking you to talk about it. That is where you will be evaluating each activity in your reflection. Clear? Yes, Kushi? Can you give an example?
Ma'am, like the sentence which you told, like that what I felt was like how our thinking and teaching skills are improving. That's what I went through examples. Like for example, changing from direct method to student centered method. Like we can do it more on hands-on activity and then connect to how it went on. Is it really like is that really like fruitful for the student, impactful for the student, or else like project based task, like we can evaluate ourselves whether the taken activity is it really helpful for the students or not. That's what I understood.
Now when you're saying
so growing focus on like it should be
remember Kushi, here you have to be very specific.
Okay.
When we are talking of impact, how will you know whether that impact has reached for that particular act?
Through the exam, like the discussion happened in the class or to the evidence they have
Assessments,
written.
yes.
So these are the discussions or like
Yes, so
formative assessment, small the assessment which we have conducted for that activity. It can
very
also be a
true.
proof for the how much they have understood.
So here, when you're talking of assessment also, remember you are connecting with assessment. From assessment, you have to link to the objective.
And okay, that overall objective is related to the aim. Okay.
Yes, the aim we will not be touching because it may be related to 2 or 3 LPs together, but whether we are reaching the objective for that particular lesson or not, we have to tell. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Sharmila.
Yes, ma'am. So, as per my understanding, I don't know whether it is apt or not. So, what we learned, the different theories we have to analyze, which will be suitable for our particular lesson on that day. We have to integrate that theory. Suppose mathematics, like we can go ahead with the. We can start our class with the formative assessment mode. There is prerequisite knowledge can be done. So there again I'm checking the students knowledge gap, and I can go ahead with the chapter, and I can relate constructivism theory, like in that hands-on experiential learning will come under constructivism theory. So I can make the students to do the activity which is aligned with the objective of my lesson on that day.
Sharmila, you have to be more specific here. That's why
Yes, ma'am.
you have to be more specific on what activity you want to conduct. See, give an example. What I'm saying here is when you're saying as an example, for example, like Shampa ma'am said, flashcards. Okay. You say that I was using flashcards for this particular activity in order to enhance the visible thinking of the students. When their visual cues were connected, they were able to connect with the concept. So this I actually found it in, say, constructivism, where the flashcards actually helped me in scaffolding, approaching ZPD. Got it? So what is said in the theory about flashcards? It need not be directly told about flashcards. What you are achieving and what was the impact in the classroom? How did you observe it? Okay, or how do you know that this was achieved? That part must be very clear.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Shravanti.
Yeah, ma'am, my understanding is that this way of approach will enhance the engagement and understanding about the students, ma'am, where there are opportunities for the reflection, collaboration, and sharing. Like especially for PP1 children, like if it was a pre-primary, this method will really articulate the thoughts with less intermediating the environment and improving the communication skills, ma'am. And then when we connected this to the theories like interaction and driving the learning and encouraging the effort and encouragement, this will foster both cognitive and social development through their peers learning,
Very,
and then we can construct the feedback. Like
very good. Now, how are
and
you actually relating
like
it? Yeah.
example, like ma'am, when during the lesson of animals, like example, now even students like or pre-primary students could think about their favorite animal, and then they pair up with their discuss it like this is, and then they share their ideas in the class, which really enhances their understanding and confidence, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So it is about sharing there. What was the topic?
Views and ideas,
Anim
like what they have known, what they have. I mean, they share their ideas with the peers, ma'am, and learn more, which will really enhance their
topic. Any
animals, ma'am.
example of a topic?
Animals.
Animals. Okay. Right. So there it is actually giving them a connect actually with, so it can be related to connectivism with the animals that they
Yes.
see in their environment. Fine. Yeah. Any other examples that you would like to cite?
Ma'am,
Remember, today it is more about reflection. That is why I'm asking.
ma'am, can I?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, when we are teaching this topic on forces to the children of grade 8, we have a lot of FET simulation which talks about the principle of moments, how to calculate. So first we give the FET simulation. We ask the children to explore the simulation. This will come under the experiential learning cycle, Kolb's experiential learning cycle. So first we give that concrete experience to the children and we ask them to explore. Once they have explored, they reflect on how the effect of forces are and distances on the moment. Now, when they do this and they explain it to us, they find out the relationship. So from a concrete, experience, they move on to further thinking, that is abstract conceptualization. Can we consider this, ma'am?
Okay. Yes, yes, you can. You can.
Okay.
Because you're giving them a simulation where they can actually see an experience, and from there they will have to take it to a unknown scenario, which will be more of an abstract part. Yes,
Yes, yes.
that's right. So now the checklist that you have to complete is Unit 1 totally, lesson plan for Unit 2, and EOL notes for Unit 2. So today our LO is H. Evaluate a lesson using feedback from your mentor and your own reflections to inform your future practice. So today we'll be discussing about what are the features of an effective lesson. Why is it important to determine if all the students achieve all intended learning objectives or outcomes in the lesson? Why does observation feedback provided by a mentor help to evaluate lesson more rigorously than relying only on self-reflection? What new learning have you recently acquired from reading, research, and discussion with colleagues during individual study or from applying new ideas and approaches in your work-based practices? So, features of an effective lesson. This I would like you to individually think, because remember, you're going to write your reflection based on this. Based on your Unit 1 or your peer observed lesson, okay, and your implementation plan for Unit 2, what do you think are the features of an effective lesson plan? Mention any two. Why do you think it's effective? How did this feature impact your understanding on your learner's learning? Okay. You can give either your response in chat box or as an oral answer. Yeah. If you have not understood the question, please tell me. I'll again repeat. Just remember, this part comes in your reflection. See, whatever yellow questions that I'm giving, please keep that as a checklist for your evidence of learning and evidence of reflection. There will be a key question that will be there in your module guide. Because what I understood is many of you are not able to see. When you're looking at your Unit 1, there is a question here. Describe your personal understanding of the concept of learning and how people learn. So this is the question in evidence of learning, the first para. That question must answer these key questions. Got it? Why do teachers understand? Till KQ5, it has to answer in your EOL. Okay, now look at the second question on evidence of learning. Identify teaching learning practices. This is the second. And this is the third question. Now, these questions must be answered in your second paragraph. This is the third question. So when you're answering this question, you have to answer these KQ. All of you forget that. Remember, I asked you, how did you feel about your assessments? Remember, it is an answer that you have to mention in your EOL. Okay. So please do keep your module guide with you when you are answering your assignments. EOL, EOR is totally in the module guide. LOD, it talks exclusively about reflection. Can you see? Analyze the key features and evaluate your impact. So it has to come as 2 paragraphs. Yes, keep your module guide and do your assignments. Yeah. Now tell me this answers. Yes, Alicia.
Yes, ma'am. So, first question, ma'am, what do you think are the features of an effective plan? So I thought of three things came into mind immediately. One is clearing the learning objectives, ma'am, before starting the lesson. If we give them the learning objectives clearly, we have to explain why, because see, we have to create the clearing to the children. So this is what you have to work for. Your efforts are going to get this result. So this will be like a kind of motivation and they'll know the result already. So this is one of the important point in to make our lesson plan effective, ma'am. And second one is active learning strategies we have to put so that our lesson will be reaching to different kind of children who are auditory learners, who are visual learners, who are kinesthetic learners. So all the kinds of children should be able to understand the concept. So we have to
one point. Please do not classify your learners on the base only of auditory, visual, kinesthetic, or multiple intelligences. There are different ways in which you can identify your types of learners. Okay, so do not go with the prominent base. But remember what Cambridge does is, if 10 of you are giving the same answer, all of you will come under pass category. If someone is going beyond that and doing research, that person will get a distinction. Remember, when you're presenting also, you know what others are thinking, make a note of it, but try to work out on something that is something new and you have learned very new. Okay? Yeah. Yes, Alicia.
The next one I thought of is scaffolded instruction, ma'am. Before giving any task or something, we have to we should be able to plan in the lesson plan where we can brainstorm the ideas so that they could do the task easily. So that we have to include in the lesson plan, I guess, ma'am. So these are all the things, and even I think that they are effective because of the following reasons which I have stated, and it will definitely change my thinking towards the learners, ma'am. Because see, if I understand the children only, I could make an effective lesson plan. If I know the students, different as you stated, but there will be different kind of students in the class. If I'll be able to know them, I could be able to make an effective lesson plan.
Okay. Okay. Now here one question, Alisha.
Yes, ma'am.
Scaffolded instruction, where exactly are you using and why are you using that?
Ma'am, as an English teacher, I'll have some activities where they have to write few sentences or where they have to frame a few the next step of the story. So if I'll brainstorm the ideas before giving this, like this is what you have to do in the next stage. So like a clues, ma'am. Clues or the previous lesson, we can say prior knowledge or something like a revision.
Revision for scaffolded instruction. Can anyone help her where scaffolded instructions can be used? It's a good strategy. That's the reason I'm emphasizing on it. Where can you use scaffolded instruction? Just a simple example is fine. Your English also you can use it. You think, Alicia, where you can use it?
Yeah, ma'am. I thought that before writing or something, if we give them hints or something, uh, you know.
See, scaffolded instruction means it is more like a step-by-step instruction.
Ma'am,
It's like unveiling. Yes, Mukambika.
ma'am, for example, when we are constructing digestive system model, we can use like I can give instruction like step by step, how they have to construct one after the other part.
Okay. They have to draw or they have to
Yes, ma'am, they
make
have to
using a clay
using,
also.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep, ma'am, for English also, we can go
Yes,
with like
Kushi.
identifying the noun and then identifying the noun verb. Is it in present tense or past tense? Step by step, can we go?
Are you going to teach them at a stretch in a class?
No, no. Like if you are going with present continuous. So for everything, we need to go with first noun. Is it singular or plural? Then only we can
Okay.
go with verb.
Okay. Okay. Fine. See, Alicia gave about the writing one. For example, you are going to ask them to write a story. What is that that you are going to ask them to start with?
Title.
No, you ask for title first.
Settings. No, setting a character.
Settings, you need
Characters.
characters, you
Character.
need, okay, you need characters, you need setting, you need plot.
Prompt.
So you ask them to first
Yes.
segregate that, isn't it? Yes.
Planning. Yes, ma'am.
That after that, what you do? Have an introduction for the characters, the setting, and the plot. Then
Yes.
you enter into the actual story, isn't it? But do you give all of this at a stretch?
No, ma'am.
So that becomes scaffolding.
Yeah,
Like a
ma'am.
planning of the story. Yes, I understand.
Even for the model making, ma'am, like we can guide the students to practice and then finally and then allow them to complete the task individually, right?
Very true, very true. Yes, yes, Shravanti, you want to say something about this activity on the lesson?
Yeah, ma'am. The scaffolding only, like we can start by modeling the task and then guide the students through practice and then finally allow them to complete the task individual. Like we can give the support as visual aids or prompts and then structure the activities, which helps the children also to learn the new concept and work independently.
Okay. Yes,
So,
ma'am. Shampa, ma'am.
Here, like this scaffolding instructions, when there is, when we find in between the lesson that the students are not able to understand the initial instructions that we have given, and they are going on a wrong path, can we say that we give another set of scaffolding instructions?
Yes, you give them so that you're directing them towards the right side. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Garima.
Yes, ma'am. Regarding scaffolding, ma'am, anything when we are doing it in the class and when we are giving a proper instructions for children to find the direct or the correct path, I think that is called scaffolding, whether it is model making, whether it is any concepts teaching, anything. When we are giving proper instructions so they can go step by step. Is that, ma'am, we can take
Yes,
it?
it's scaffolding. Yes. For example, you have a group discussion happening in your class. You just don't tell that this is the topic, now start discussing.
Yes.
You
Correct.
tell them the boundaries. You tell them what to discuss. Okay, what should be the output? What are the objectives of this discussion? What should be the final output that they
Outcome.
have to get? Yes, from the discussion. So
Ma'am,
that is
and then
scaffold.
I would like to tell about, as you have asked, effective lessons. So, if you are first is where you have to be very clear with your objective, what you want to
Yes.
teach in the class. Then to find out the background knowledge related to the topic, how much children they know about it before introducing the topic. Then direct instructions, what you want. Now the time has come to introduce the topic. So now you are giving the instructions and you are talking about the content. Then after that, it comes the activity related to the content, what you have done to find out whether they have understood or not. Then at that time, again, proper and direct instructions should be given, as just now you have said, to find out the outcome, whether they have understood or not your main content and your objective. Then closure is that your outcome that they have understood, and now the time is to find out through quick assessment to find out whether what all has been done, whether your objective, your content and what you have taught in the class and your activity they have understood or not. So we can assess it through the quick assessment or formative assessment by playing a quiz or quick questions, or maybe some activity like related to the topic role play or something. So that way we can find out, the lesson plan to be effective. This is what I feel, ma'am.
Okay, very good, very good. Yes. Yes, Shravanti.
Yeah, ma'am, when it comes to my class, no, ma'am, like two objectives, like two features which will really make it is clear learning objectives, ma'am, because, and the other one is active learning activities, because the children will have less concentration span. I should make sure that what is my objective very short and clear, so that the children will not get diverted. And the other one is an active learning activities, which makes the students to engage in the discussion or group work or hands-on activities, ma'am, so that the child will have a deeper understanding about the concept. And this really helps, ma'am. It is very effective because children will have a clarity of what to be focused, and they learn through activities, which really helps them to learn very easily, and also concentration focused on the activity, ma'am. And yeah, and they grasp the concepts also very easily too. Like example, like colors, when I'm going to have it, so we'll be able to identify the primary colors first, focus on the lesson, only the primary colors first I'll be taking, ma'am, and give the activities like matching the games like primary colors with the objects, so that the children gets engaged with the concept. And then this will really help them to know about the colors and learn good.
Very true, very true. Yes, Preeti ma'am.
And so one, Shravanti has already told about clear learning objectives. So that is one of them where before the start of the lesson only, I should ensure that both the teacher and the student is very clear about what the objective of that particular learning is. So that is very much necessary, which will make the whole particular learning effective, as well as the objective would be met. And also the other one is differentiate instruction, which I feel is very important. So that is something where we are catering to the levels of each and every child. So some task which is like, given and planned in such a way where every particular, that the particular learning objective is matching with the differentiated task that we are giving. So that is also an interactive session, as well as it helps to the child to understand in their own way. So that is
very true, very true. Now remember, when you're writing about your key features that make your lesson plan effective, you will have to start by saying that how your objectives actually helped you in setting the goal for your class. Okay, because many times what happens is you will be writing about everything, but you will forget about the main part, objectives. Even when you're giving your lesson plan, remember, you will have to share your objectives. That should be the first line in your unit 2 lesson plan. Okay. And in unit 1 also, it's many times that I've observed that the experienced teacher on your lesson plan, the sharing may not be mentioned. I'm okay with it. But if you're going to write in your reflection that the teacher giving the objectives was a key feature, then in your observation visit form, it must be mentioned. You understood how the link is made? So if it is not mentioned there, you have not observed, you're just writing based on theory, it will come. So please see that, see in your observation visit form, there can be 10 different things that you would have noticed. But in your reflection, it has to be what is that you found impactful and was a learning for you. Okay, and what you're planning for your unit 2. Similarly, when you're doing your unit 2 also, observation visit can have your observation feedback form. You can have your mentor writing a number of things. But where you felt that the difference was made, remember unit 2, both EOL, URS 600 to 660 words. So that has to be clearly mentioned in your reflection. Okay. Now remember unit 2 lesson, you can fail also. You may not succeed in helping your students learn the concept, but you will have to write in your reflection why that failed with your mentor guidance. And in your unit, in the reflection part alone, remember mentor input must be mentioned in your reflection, not in your learning part. In your reflection, when I had the discussion with my mentor suggested, or when we visited, when me and my mentor went to observe the class, these were the key features that we had discussed about, because many of you are forgetting your mentor. Okay. Remember, mentor has to be mentioned in your reflection, especially in unit 2 and unit 3. Okay. Unit 1, in your observation visit form, it has to come that these were the aspects that were discussed by me and my mentor. That has to come. Okay. So when moving into, okay. An effective lesson should have clear aims and objectives. This was stated by many of you, that are shared with students so that they know what they must learn. It should engage and motivate students to learn, building new learning on their existing learning, that is about prior learning and advanced organizers. Using active learning approaches, providing opportunities for students to work in pairs and groups. That is why I said one pair work and group work is a must in your lesson plan. Provide students with time and opportunity to reflect and apply their learning. Uses resources effectively to support the student learning. Make regular checks on students' learning using appropriate formative assessment methods. Provides sufficient time for a conclusion to check all the required learning objectives or outcome have been achieved, and to identify any gaps in the students' learning that must be addressed in the next lesson. Okay. So you will also need to explicitly see in your prior knowledge when you're conducting, you found that the students were not able to link certain aspects. You can mention that as a reflection. So then you will write sconce in reflection, mentioning that you will write, in the class immediately I had to take up this action, so that there is a concreteness in their understanding. Now remember, that has to be mentioned by a mentor also in the observation feedback form. Okay. All these are linked documents. So please see that there is a link from your EOL to your observation visit LP and your feedback form and reflection. Okay. So there must be a clear link that is provided. I'll give you 5 minutes. You can take a break and think on this. Like now it is 10:30. So 10:35, you will be coming back thinking on this. How are you ensuring learning is happening? Share your thoughts individually. Okay, quote an example from your class. Quote an example from your class. Okay, what are the evidences that you have that learning has happened or has not happened? If it has not happened, why and what went wrong? Where do you think the change should happen? How are you planning for your future classes? Think of any example that you've experienced till now and elaborate on it. Got it? Take a break now for 5 minutes. 10:35, we will rejoin and we'll have individually presenting. I want everyone to talk because remember, these you can write down as a reflection and you can tell. Okay? Okay. Take a Yes, you can come back. You can start writing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Shravan.
Ma'am, shall I start, ma'am?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, ma'am. So why we need to ensure that learning happens is I really focus on the active engagement of the students, ma'am. Like whether it is an interactive class, whether the children are actively participating in hands-on activities, ma'am. Especially because most of the learning happens in my class through hands-on activities. So rather than
Yes.
going with it and role play too, when it comes to the English or that, active participation is very important for me. And I also analyze that whether the learning is happening good or not through this active participation only. Like for example, if it is regarding during the lesson of identifying the shapes. So first I'll make sure that the interactive class activities like shape sorting or drawing for the children. I'll make sure that proper instructions regarding to the modeling of the shapes has been given or not by showing the shapes and follow the guided practices, ma'am, where the students will sort the objects first by the shapes and then only I'll give as an independent task. So when they drew the shapes on their own, then I think that the learning has happened, like through an evidence, like students, if they successfully identify and drew the shapes during the independent practice, this shows that the learning has been happened. Why we need to have this is
I want you to tell me an example from the class that has already happened.
yeah,
So,
ma'am. Identification of the shapes I have done, ma'am. Like a circle, three shapes are done till now. I have given as a summative assessment for the term one, ma'am. So when I have done this, we do individually, right? But when it comes to the together of grouping the shapes, then I just gave them the recap of the shapes first, gave them the modeling, and asked them to draw. So when they have done successfully, like they have drawn and identified the shapes, it gave us an evidence that the child has learned about the identification of shapes. They have known about the shapes. And
okay.
one in my class, I had three children who did not do it, ma'am. So I thought like maybe the child is absent on those days, and I have reinforced them again and then help them to identify the shapes.
Now remember again, Shravanti, what you're doing is you are taking the previous classes and testing now.
Okay, ma'am.
From that period only, you will have to ensure that learning has happened. If you are testing on the previous classes, that means you have missed the prior knowledge part of it.
Ma'am, before we do the, see, each shape we won't do all together, right, no, ma'am? So when it comes whether the child is able to recall the shapes or not, we usually recap it first as a prior knowledge and then we test it, right? Whether the child is
again, Shravanti, when you're doing your prior knowledge itself, the 3 students, if they were absent, if they did not, there itself your identification must happen. You should not carry it towards the end of the class. You understood?
Yeah.
That is what I'm saying. See, what happens is when you are writing also, sometimes without your knowledge, you are going to put this there. So remember, once the result come only, we will also be looking into it that why exactly this was a fail assignment. So when we look back, you would have actually connected with, actually you should have found out in the prior knowledge. You have taken it towards the end and told that some of my students could not answer this, which is actually a prior knowledge activity. So the question will come, why did you not take corrective actions then? Understood?
Yeah, ma'am. Maybe one shape the child may be missed. I need to make sure that it should be rectified to the next class during the prior knowledge.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, Kushi.
Ma'am, this was like for grade 3 when I was introducing the concept of masculine and feminine. So first I gave an hands-on activity where the students have sorted a list of nouns and like gender, like masculine and feminine. So after that I encouraged them, allowed the students to work in pair and to do with this what we call cartoons. Like make their names of cartoons, whatever they know, to list the masculine and feminine. So really the students were actively engaged. They recollected all the comics they see in all the channels, and they came up with a very nice list. So this pairing, recapping of that, what I felt was learning really happened, and they really did a very nice job.
Very good.
And,
Okay. Yeah.
and the class participation was also very good, and they were like having a competition of who can get more names, like which group will get more cartoon names. Even I learned many unseen cartoon names and all. So that was really good.
Okay, that's good. Yes, Neelam.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, for grade 5, they have a concept called gravity and how the moon revolves around the earth. So first, when I taught them that it is the speed of the moon, they just have one sentence like every object attract each other with gravitational force. They don't have the detail of it. So they were asking like if moon and earth are attracting, then why is earth not going around the moon? Why the moon is going around the earth? And they were asking me such questions. They were not clear about the concept. So what I did was I brought a heavy stone, tied it to a string, and told them to take turns and rotate it above their head. So they felt the pull, like they are pulling it, and the stone is also trying to pull them out. So I could not, I just told them about the centripetal and centrifugal force, just an introduction. And I told them this because of the speed of the moon, the velocity, even if the stone and you are also attracted, these are the forces which helps the moon to go around. Because in the beginning, they were not able to relate how gravity is making the moon go around the earth. So I had to add the velocity, and with the velocity, I added the centripetal and centrifugal, which was not mentioned in their textbook now.
Okay. Right. Yes, Anisha.
Ma'am, I have given in the chat box. I'll say it, ma'am. So
Yeah, you say it because there is a part that I would like clarification. Yes, please.
So I took up this activity, ma'am, where I have asked the students to pay. I have made the group of 4 students, and I have asked them to pick up a few things in the class and ask them to give few adjectives for them, like describe. Actually, I did not use the word adjective, but I asked them to describe. So everybody were roaming around, and which was like they learn by exploring, and collaborative work was also happening. But it was very nice activity. And even I have asked them to write in the notes the results and all, so that we have later discussed about them also. But I have observed that few students were very passive, they were not active. I thought that maybe due to the other students are working out and they are not getting enough chances, or maybe I did not explain the topic. I asked them to describe. As they are grade 3, they can identify, they could describe. I thought, ma'am, later on I have planned that I should explain before giving such activities.
Okay, but here remember, when you are writing, you have told it very nicely. When you are writing, never use the words maybe due to.
Okay.
You need, see, you might have had that doubt. Okay. Yes. Now what you have to do is you will have to put that as a assessment there. Since I was having the doubt on these areas, I did these and I confirmed that it was because of this. Never be doubtful in your writing. Okay. Immediately confirm it with some activities. Remember, there also you will have to remember scones. You are going to use Gibbs reflective cycle. Yes. But during your class, whatever reflection that you are doing on the spot, go with scones. You mentioned that you have used scones based on scones reflection. I had, that is in reflection, not on reflection. Okay. In reflection, I had actually looked for what is the concrete reason the students were not able to answer my question. Okay. Yes. And put that this assessment I have conducted and this is what I have got out of it. So now I know that I have to do this 4 times, right?
Understood.
Yes, Saujanya.
Yeah, good morning, ma'am. I'll go in a sequence. You asked us a question to ensure learning happening. I mean, how does this lunch to ensure this how learning happens? First, I focus on setting clear objectives, clear outcomes, whereas like engaging students with interactive activities and checking for understanding continuously throughout the lesson. For example, in a recent English class, I was teaching about this verb tenses. So there I used a real life scenario activity where students created sentences during their routines on the present tense, recent activities about the past tense, and future plans for the upcoming weekend, future tense. So this made the concept relevant and helped them connect tenses to the real life situations. So according to the question, why I think learning happened, yes, I think learning happened because learning seemed to take place because students were able to apply verb tenses correctly, both in writing and oral responses. So they asked questions and sought clarifications.
No seem to. Learning happened.
Yes.
Okay.
Learning happens. Yes. Learning happens. Not that seemed. Seemed again will be a future. So learning happened both in writing and oral responses. They asked the questions and sorted the clarifications. This showed that learning happened. Evidence of learning. Evidences included their participation, correction of sentences, and the way they executed the sentences and clarified it. I think that's a learning evidence of learning. If learning has not happened, according to the question, if learning has not happened, I will usually I mean, I could revise the topics more clearly. Again, I will do a recap. Again, I do a recap and I can ensure that students go through the topic and they'll be clear on the topic.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Shampana.
Ma'am, can I speak about the experience I had of a learning teacher's observation?
Yeah, you can. You can.
So I had observed a teacher of grade 9 mathematics where the objective of the class was the lateral surface area and the total surface area of a cone. So the teacher introduced the topic by 2D objects, area and area of 2D objects like square, parallelogram, and rectangle and everything through a think, pair, share activity. So the students wrote down the formula of the area of 2D objects, and then he placed objects, the cone and a cube and a cuboid on the table, and he those were those could be they could be taken out, and squares and rectangles could be shown. So he told the students to assemble all the parts of that cube or cuboid and then write the individual areas and then derive the total area of a cube and cuboid. Then he went to his topic like the lateral surface area and the total surface area of a cone, where he asked, gave them a group activity. Ma'am, can I share my screen?
Yes, just a minute.
So only
yeah, you can.
So this is the activity given to the students where they had to construct a parallelogram through by cutting out the lateral surface area of a square of the cone, where the students got confused by this parallelogram because the teacher had not told them how many triangles they had to cut from the total surface area. So there he had to lose some time in explaining to the students again like how to achieve these parallelograms, and from there calculate the total surface area of the cone. So instructions were not given properly by the teacher, and there Anupama ma'am, our mentor, and myself, we gave him a feedback on instructive teaching.
So you will have to so now when it comes to your class, you can also write, my mentor told me that I should change this and have a proper instructional strategy ready for my classes. Yes. That way it can be done. Yes, fine. Yeah. During this sound chapter. Veena ma'am, I think you've sent it to me. Okay, you have given differentiated support. Fine. Yeah. Yes, Preeti ma'am.
So, ma'am, I had taken one of the class where we were doing the laws of reflection actually. And at that particular time, the first initial, the lesson was because light is such a topic that they had already learned in their previous class. So I had done a pre-assessment and I have started discussing with the laws of reflection, where we have explained them about that it stands on the same plane and all those things. But I had not given them any particular activity at the initial 1 or 2 classes. Just they had drawn the line and whatever idea they had done it. But I was seeing that when I was questioning also, it was not very clear concept, because when the incident ray touches, it bounces back. That's the reflected ray. So a little abrupt idea they had. So I thought I have to get into a little more, because I was also not satisfied at that time that their learning was not completed, because when I was testing their knowledge by asking them few questions like, if 2 mirrors are there opposite to each other, then that ray which is falling as a reflected ray, does it become the incident ray on the other mirror? And also they didn't have that idea. So I have few pictures also, maybe I can send it to you later. So those where I got 2 mirrors, I had got a laser light, and I told them to themselves to work on it, and that gave them a very clear picture, because then when they were touching, holding the mirror on one side and flashing the laser light, and that was showing them very clear what is the incident ray and how is it bouncing back. And when it bounces back and touches the other mirror, and then they could see there is one more ray, which is again like, coming out from there. So then they were understanding what is the major principle, and it was not at all vague about it. So that made at last the class a very successful one, where they understood that, okay, so like, that can also be possible when we hold another mirror, and that incident ray can also be a reflected ray on the other mirror. So that made the class good. But initially I felt that like, it was not a successful one.
Okay, so you are reflecting on a not. So what strategy? Now remember, when you say it's not successful, you will have to tell what are the strategies that you're going to do next time. That has to be.
So ma'am, the next time I have done which worked out. Initial class, it did not work. Next class, I have extended my teaching strategy, where I taught them with the help of the activity. And that worked out well, ma'am. Then they were very clear.
Okay, great. Yes, Manjari ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So this was basically for grade 10th, ma'am. In one of my classes, when I was teaching the concept of subject-verb agreement. So initially, they didn't understand, in fact, tenses, because we had to a little bit go back to the previous knowledge of, testing the previous knowledge by asking few questions on tenses. So what I found that most of the students, they don't have a very clear picture of tenses. So as a result, they could not understand the concept of subject-verb agreement. So then I started from the beginning, introducing the, the rules and the regulations of tenses. And then I started asking questions. So what I found that yes, most of them have understood, but few of them, they were not paying attention because it was too much of rules for them to take it. And at the same time, they had the next period P. So they were very much inquisitive to go out and play, and I wanted to take their P period also. They were little reluctant. So I told them, why don't I merge, tenses with P? So I took them down. I said, okay, fine, let us merge with your tenses as well as P. So I took them down and I asked them to get a ball. So then the children, I asked them to make a circle. So with the help of the ball, I told them, throw ball, like you have to throw the ball to the other person and you have to immediately ask a question. So suppose, I am going. So which tense you have to tell, they have to change it into which tense. Okay, maybe, the past tense or the present perfect tense. So this was a game, and believe me, ma'am, within half an hour, they enjoyed the game. And at the same time, they had P and they learned of tenses. So I clubbed P as well as English class, together. So this learning, in fact, what I found, ma'am, that sometimes when we are confined in one room, the children, they don't pay attention. They find them as, restricted. We take them out and little bit movement is done. So they understand better. So nowadays, what in my classes, I actually tend to take them down or ask them to move around and do an activity or go here and do something so that learning happens faster in such scenarios. So this was my observation. Then when a grammar topic is taught, it is better to teach through an activity rather than making them understand rules and regulations, which earlier I used to do. I used to write the rules on the board and give them example. Then I found that somehow learning was not happening. So if I can make it in a form of an activity or some kind of movement, so learning happens very faster.
No, it is if it's more action oriented, your rules
yes, action oriented, absolutely,
like traffic rules. You follow the rules, you will get to know. If you don't follow, the rule will be in the book only.
Absolutely. Because for them, it is like giving the rules on the board and telling them this is how it happens, this is how it changes. It was too boring. Even I felt, like after one point in time, I was also bored, teaching them the rules again and again. So I just took them down, and that simple ball activity, believe me, ma'am, they learnt it within half an hour. That entire, the concept of tenses.
Yeah. And now I think Veena ma'am has shared it in this one chat box. Here, just a small example. The chapter is sound. So I think Veena ma'am is pointing on this. Now this also you may get in your own subject. So that's why I'm clearing it for you. Now in this case, she was teaching about sound. Now as a teacher, we may not know that the child doesn't know how to draw on a graph, because that was not the prior knowledge. Okay. Now it comes when you are doing an activity that you want to do it, ask them to do it on the graph sheet, and then you realize that they are plotting it wrong. Okay, now what to do in such cases? You can write that I know that the students had not understood about the graph. So I immediately took over. I asked them to understand the rules of the graph drawing and then introduce the activity of graph. Okay. Remember that also comes as con in reflection. Okay. So you can use that also. It's not always that we as teachers know. Sometimes in the middle of the class, sometimes else we may have to recall. So then you will write a reflection stating that in such cases, I now know that I will have to again retest their prior knowledge on graph before introducing a graphical concept. That way you can do it. Yes, Mukambika.
Yeah, ma'am. In grade 4 class, ma'am, I have went with the parts of a flower. So there, ma'am, I first introducing the flower, I showed a real flower and asked the questions, what do you notice about the flower and what are the parts of a flower? And then I started labeling all the parts of a flower and I explained about the functions of flower. And after that, I made into a group activity and I gave for each group, I gave the real flower and I asked to take out the parts of flower and make the note of each flower parts and its functions. That's what is done, ma'am, in the class. And one challenge I faced it, they came across that distinguishing between the pistil and stamen, they felt a little difficulty. So that in the next class, I made that, I gave a clear explanation about the pistil and stamen.
No, in the same class, why were you not able to do it? It has to be, see, misconceptions should not be carried forward. Now, who was present in that class may be absent in the next, this one, isn't it? So how will you overcome that in that particular period? What you can do, remember, you will have to cover it in that period and ensure that you say that I conducted an activity or I gave them a clue or mnemonic to remember this. And in the next class, I ensured that I will be ensuring that I will conduct this as including it into the prior knowledge activity. Okay. Remember, don't say that you will be clearing it in the next class. That's difficult. You have to do it then and there. Okay. Yeah. Now let us go to the next one. You have page 167 to 177, training, tutoring and teaching resource. So there will be 3 groups, each group one question you will have to discuss among your group members and present. Okay, I'll just share this here. Now it is 11:03. So 11:10, I'll be closing the breakout rooms. The questions are also shared. Please make a note of the questions.
Not assigned. Can you assign me in a group?
Which group, Kushi?
I don't know, ma'am.
Okay, let me just check with Sudha ma'am. Wait.
Before it came one and again I came back. I think
Which group? Which group? Sorry.
one group. First
One
group.
group. Okay, let me put you 1 minute.
I think you can join. You did not get any request?
I didn't get any request here.
Okay, 1 second. Did you get it now?
So yes, can we start? Room number 1, your question is, why should you as teacher assess every step of the learning? Yes.
Present, ma'am, on behalf of all of us.
Okay.
Ma'am, I have presented the screen regarding why the teacher should assess every step. First, I would like Shampa ma'am to please address, tell the first point, ma'am.
So we need to monitor the learners' progress, whether they have first we have a 3-part lesson where we do a opening where we test the prior knowledge of the students. So we give an activity, for example, picture reading or think, pair, share or anything, and we assess the student on the activity. So that tells us like, should we go to the next level? Is this sufficient enough to like go to the next level of the process of teaching? So we have to do assessment at every level. Next.
Yes. Then, as ma'am said, is it sufficient? At the same time, we would be checking the validity, whatever the activity or whatever the teaching we are doing or learning what is happening, is it valid? Are the students able to relate it to their to the content, and are they able to understand, and is their knowledge sufficient to go to the next level of the uh, uh, content or the lesson? And at the same time, we would be also checking on whether we have catered to each and every child present in the class, if everybody have understood the concept or not. So that is the reason why we would assess ourselves based on the response from the students.
Very true. That was really good. Yes.
Yeah, third point is, ma'am, monitor learners' progress. So when we are giving the logical thing and sufficient, we are seeing that whether it is inclusive, the information what we have given, and reliability also we are checking. After that, when after doing all the activities, we need to see through assessment or to just to check that whether, as you said, that every step we need to check whether the children have understood or not. So this sufficient knowledge, what we have given it to them through the assessment or through quick questions and all, we can find out the learner's progress up to that level. Then after that, another content, what we are doing it. After that, again, when we are assessing, we will come to know the learner's progress. So monitoring learner's progress also help us to find out that and help us also as a teacher, whether students have understood or not.
Very. Yes.
I would like to add one point here, ma'am. Like, we should also assess ourselves to check if whatever we are doing in the class, could it have been done in a better way, in a more innovative way. So for that also, we need to assess how much our activity was reached its 100% or not.
Very true. Very true. Yes. Good. Next, room 2.
Yeah, ma'am.
Can
Ma'am, can I
stop
start?
sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how to assess, ma'am? Before I step into how to assess, ma'am, we should plan the assessment, which involves deciding when, how, and what type of assessments are to be used for the students learning effectively. So, teachers should consider the goals of their lesson and then select or design the assessment, ma'am, that aligns with their objectives. And thoughtful planning should be done for the assessment, which are meaningful, targeted, and integrated into the learning process rather than feeling like disconnected tasks. So here the different types of assessments are: formative assessments, Summative assessments, where formative assessments are the ongoing checks, ma'am, like quizzes, polls, or in-class discussions to monitor the understanding during the lesson.
Yes.
Summative assessments are the end of the unit test, ma'am, or the projects to evaluate the cumulative knowledge. Whereas we can even have the peer assessment where the students review each other's work, which promotes the collaboration and critical thinking too. They'll share, they'll share their knowledge with others, and children also learn from their peers.
Yes.
Then next one is the self-assessment, where the students reflect on their own learning, identifying the strengths and areas for improvement. And the next is the observation assessment, ma'am, where the teachers observe the students' participation and the behaviors to assess the learning progress.
Very true.
And even the diagnostic assessment, ma'am, which is a pre-test, ma'am, to gauge the prior knowledge before starting a new content.
Okay.
Yeah, my friends will be
yeah. I was actually asking that only Shravanti is presenting. What happened to others?
Ma'am has given on how should we assess, and I'm now going to elaborate on what should you do with the assessment conducted.
No, Tehsin, that is actually the last groups. I clearly told you. Your question is how you should assess. That's it.
Yeah, ma'am. I'll just
Yeah,
add
ma'am.
on to Shravanti, ma'am.
Right.
Adding on to this, we also have in the formative assessment, we have the polls as well as the quiz. And, it is very important for us to assess the student at each and every point. Like when the lesson is being taken, we assess, when it comes to the prior knowledge. And in the middle part, while the lesson is going on, we also need to assess at the end of the lesson also we need to assess. So depending upon the activity, depending upon the lesson, we plan for the assessment.
Yes.
Yeah. There's one more I would like to add to this, ma'am. It's a peer assessment. So here, encouraging students to reflect on their own work or access their peers promotes the responsibility and critical thinking. So already Shravanti ma'am have gone through all the assessment, how to assess and everything. Yeah, one more thing I would like to add on as a peer assessment and observational assessment. While student work in a group or individually, we as a teacher, we observe their approach, engagement level, and solving strategies. This gives insight into their learning process. So that's how we can assess.
And I also
One more thing
feel
I
that
would like to. Yes, Manjari ma'am, you can continue.
Yes, I also feel that, ma'am, assessment need not be only, paper and pen. It can also be students' reflection. That is also a part of the assessment. Like in many times we have seen while introducing a topic, when we ask the student to come up with an exit card or the reflection. So when they write that this part was little difficult for me to understand, that means what we were not able to explain this part of the concept properly. So that is also the assessment, or the student were not able to understand it properly. So that is also a part of the assessment, the reflection of the students' work.
Yeah, here I would just like to add on to what Manjari ma'am said. The assessment can be authentic assessment also, where we are providing them the real world scenarios and applications to assess their learning. And sometimes we can go also with students to reflect on their own learning and also assess their peer learning. And class discussions and debates, ma'am, where students understanding through facilitated discussions and debates happen. And also case studies and reflective journals. That's what Manjari ma'am said. The exit ticket that they actually give after the end of the class. So it is like a reflective journal where they are expressing the things that they have learned. And of course, formative and summative assessments are always there. And diagnosis assessment is identifying the areas where students need additional support or review. And in the end, it is summative assessment.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to add up a few points. May I?
Yes, Sharmila.
Yes, ma'am. So nowadays, you know, the technology is playing a great role, and students also like to go with that rather than the normal pen and paper. So nowadays, which I feel is gaming. Gaming is one of the main kind of an assessment. Even we feel that we can test a student. So gamification and interactive simulations, or like, you know, we can even ask them to do the video recording of the experiment that what they did even in their home. They that also, like, we can check how they understand. And recently in our school, like, what we understood is we have submitted the entries for our Cambridge projects, Cambridge science projects. So I have seen students showed great interest in doing the project, because where they can see the growing up of some microgreens in some particular environment, doing some chemical reactions in the lab. And they also have done some physics project which shows them the acceleration velocity that was related. So with that we understood they have done the project on their own, and they have also made all their points, key points in the presentation way. So we understood that this is also kind of a great formative tool to check what they understood from it. So the projects and taking the assistance from the digital interaction is also playing a great role nowadays in assessing the students. So yeah.
Yes, Sharmila, that's true. That's true. Actually, when Sharmila told that, that's a really interesting point, actually. Now, many of our students, if you see, we all know that water is a good conductor. Yes. But you look at an electrician who may be hardly a 10th pass, he will see that he wears rubber slippers and does. And no, our kids know as soon as they go for bath, even if it's an 12th class students, with that wet hands, he will switch on and switch off the switch. So where is that application coming is really a $1 billion question that we have to ask our students, right? You look at an auto mechanic, he will apply the laws of mechanics so coolly and easily, like how Manjari gave that wonderful example. Those are all rules and laws that we make students study, but they never understand what is its practical application. Yes. Unless until you put them in that environment, throw them in that environment and ask them to do it hard and fast, till then that learning is not going to happen among them. That is a very interesting point. Yes, last group.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want to
I'll
share
just...
something.
Yes.
So sorry, Preeti ma'am, you can
No, it's
continue.
okay.
Yeah. So basically, the other day I had given a comprehension on AI. So the comprehension on AI, I had given, it was a comprehension. So two students, in fact, read the comprehension. It was just a comprehension taken from somewhere else. So two students pointed out, ma'am, the comprehension has a mistake. The data is incorrect. So I just told them, why don't you, I mean, they were trying to apply their experience, or because they have a lot of knowledge about AI. And for me as an English teacher, it is only like, when it comes to comprehension, they have to read the comprehension, they have to write down the answers looking at the comprehension. But actually, they made me understand the errors in the comprehension. So I told them, let us, dissect the comprehension later on. As a science teacher, probably somebody else will be able to give maybe the technicality of it, or maybe AI teacher will be able to give. But for me as an English teacher, it is only a comprehension. But see, ma'am, students actually tend to apply, as you were mentioning over here, they tend to apply their, whatever knowledge they have in, whatever the theory we teach. So the application is very much important. So that's why I
Yes.
wanted to, in fact, tell this.
And another important, now that you got AI, thank you for giving me. Now, when you're writing your assignments, okay, some of you will be very smart to put the question to ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini and get the answers. Don't do that, because the software that Cambridge is running is highly sophisticated, and it will easily catch hold and you will be failed even without thinking. Now, where you can use AI, okay, that is the most important part. See, most of you here in this batch are English teachers. So be little careful with your grammar, full stops, okay? And if you feel you have written a piece, your idea is good, but you're not satisfied with that writing that has come, the output that you have got, You feel that that can have a better language. Yes, you can use your AI. Okay. There you can use. Remember, idea should be yours. Words can be of AI. But it should not be the idea of AI. Language corrections can be done through AI. Idea generation should not be from AI. Okay. Similarly, now remember, you will have to mention that in your reference. Okay. You will have to mention that in your reference. And similarly, for example, you have a doubt on what this question means. Okay. What theories are related to it. But generally in your module 1, you will not be getting it. In your module 2, module 3, you will be getting areas that are a bit complicated, where you require additional help and sometimes mentor is not able to help. Yes, you can take the ideas that no, you can put a question and no, ask for strategies from AI. But remember, you will have to mention that in your references, saying that this was also taken from AI. Okay. Using ChatGPT, that reference has to be provided. Okay. Still, they have not given a referencing method for it, but this is allowed. For details, you can go through the principal examiner report that is filed for candidates, okay, in your help section. Guidance for candidate in your help section in your portfolio. This is allowed. But do not copy and paste ideas exactly from your AI. It's not going to work out. It will not help you. Clear? Yeah. Yes. Next, third group. Yes, Preeti ma'am, you are presenting something.
So, ma'am, our question was, what should you do with the assessment conducted? So whenever we conduct assessment, so the major thing is now we have to give feedback to the students. And how should the feedback be actually? So I have gone through the article that we have read. So in that they have given different situations where the assessment has gone wrong, and how the teacher has to approach the student in order to make the child understand where the child has gone wrong. So there were 3 situations where the same scenario is there, but the way the teacher has given the feedback is different. So the first scenario, the major thing that we have to always keep in mind is assessment feedback is that it should always be constructive, and it should not be randomly just told in such a way that the child is wrong and the child has to redo the work. So that is a complete wrong thing, because we always have to ensure that the child as well as the teacher both are in the same page. That means the child has to understand where the child has gone wrong, and the child also has to get a particular a chance to question the particular teacher, and also the teacher has to give a very clear picture where the child has to improvise. So that particular situation, because in the first one, it was just that the child had to do the rework, where the child doesn't have the clue where exactly the child has gone wrong and what is the rework that the child has to do. In the second situation, it was a little better where the teacher just explained, like, these are the areas and you have to rectify it. So a little bit idea the child has got. And in the third situation, the child gave the particulars, just chance for the teacher gave the child a chance to understand the mistakes very clearly and made the child clear about the errors. So a constructive feedback was given, and the learner should be clearly be understanding the weakness in their work. They should understand what to do to improve it, and they should understand what action to take to improve their performance. So what is that we have to do? So same example, like whenever we are submitting our work, you are telling us very clearly where all we are wrong, what we have to do, which particular reference material we have to choose, and what improvisation we have to do. So that clarity, once we get, we can recheck our work and we can submit it clearly. So that is one thing. And I think so, ma'am will be going ahead with the other one, like, who all are the ones who would be requiring this feedback. Ma'am, who is there from our group? Or should I continue?
Ma'am, I want to add few points to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. As ma'am has taken the examples from the document, which from the document. So we have jotted down few points regarding that, ma'am. As ma'am already said, assessment. The feedback given from the assessment should be constructive, and we have to keep two another points in mind, that we have to draw the attention of the children also. If the learners, why they are unable to do the why they are not unable to why they are unable to complete the assessment, or why they were where they are lacking, we will definitely be giving the feedback, and we have to understand, we have to draw their attention towards the assessment also. If we are giving some assignment, okay, what else they can do? See, as an English teacher, I have asked them to write down the adjectives in this format. So maybe they wanted to do in other way. Maybe they have few more examples or ideas. Maybe I have to talk with them and finalize that also for few particular students, ma'am, where they are lacking. So this kind of feedback also should be given based on the assessment. So this is why we have to conduct assessment, ma'am.
Very true. Okay.
Ma'am, one more point to add on, ma'am. Keep a track on students' progress over time, ma'am. We have to keep a track of assessment. And even regular assessments along with reflection can show whether student is improving in that particular area or not.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
And also, ma'am, the feedback, like, because I think so that point has to be covered. So the feedback, who all are actually requiring the feedback. First of all, the feedback has to go to the learners that we have already discussed, so that they can improvise on their learning, and they can rectify it and do it better. Passed on to appropriate stakeholders. So now whenever we are giving any feedback, it is also to the stakeholders. It includes the parents, as well as who is responsible to ensure that they can focus on the particular task on whatever the child has done. So that is also a very important one, and used by the teacher to evaluate. So it is a checklist for the teacher, also a check for the teacher also, to improvise her methodology of teaching or learning, ma'am.
Very true. Very true.
Ma'am, I want to add one point, ma'am.
Yeah.
Can I tell in Hindi, ma'am?
Yeah, you can.
यस मैम, हम लोग हमारे स्कूल में ज्यादातर सैंडविच पॉलिसी यूज करते हैं मैम, बच्चों के लिए जब कभी फीडबैक देना है तो उस समय हम बताते हैं कि उनका पहले पॉजिटिव क्या था, पेपर में उन्होंने क्या ठीक लिखा है, मतलब वो आंसर में उसने क्या अच्छा लिखा है। जैसे कि वो घटना कब हुई थी उसने लिखा है, लेकिन उसको एलाबोरेट करते हुए, विस्तार देते हुए कैसे हुई वो नहीं लिख पाया। उसकी वजह से अगर मैं उसके मार्क्स गए हैं तो मैं उसे पहले समझाऊंगी कि आपने वो घटना के बारे में, ये कब हुआ, ये तो सब कुछ लिख दिया आपने, लेकिन अगर मैं थोड़ा और उसे आगे बढ़ाते हुए वो घटना किस प्रकार हुई थी, कैसे हुई थी लिखते, तो आपके मार्क्स लूज नहीं होते, जिसकी वजह से उसका मतलब मोटिवेशन बना रहता है कि अच्छा मैं अगली बार ये कर सकता हूँ, आगे मैं थोड़ा और अच्छा लिख सकता हूँ। सो सैंडविच पॉलिसी हम लोग यूज करते हैं मैम हर बार।
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Thank you. Now here actually I wanted to tell something. Others have completed. Anyone else? Okay. See, feedback need not be only for the students. Okay. Now sometimes you give an assessment and when you are verifying your students, you found that one particular question, most of your students have done it as some error has come in. Now, how Veena ma'am gave that example of plotting x-axis. How did she come to know? She came to know based on the performance of most of the students. Okay, they were not able to plot the axis. Now, that is a feedback for us also. That we are not identifying the correct learner gap and helping them to overcome that. So whenever, now see, generally what happens is in your schools, when you're conducting formative assessments, we are talking about feedback, how you give the students, how teacher feedback is conducted and all that. But when your periodic tests are conducted, this if you really are interested, you can do a question-wise analysis. Okay? Calculate the average per question. Remember, it's going to take time because you have to segregate question chapter wise and you will have to do it. Okay. And you can easily find out which chapter has actually produced the lesser average. And when you do that, you will understand that how you should reflect on your own teaching to see that that particular chapter has a better score. Okay, that means what? It need not mean that your teaching went bad. Remember that. It may be the prior knowledge that was required for that was not sufficiently laid, or during that period you had a sports day or an annual day coming, so there were a lot of mismatch in your classes. So something would have crept in. So next time when you're doing your academic plan, now this year you will do a recap. You will see that that chapter, the less weighted chapters are bought during the distraction period, or easy chapters which the student doesn't require a multiple input, and now take the heavier chapters where there is more serious academic concentration. Now this actually, your assessments actually help you plan your long term in your schools. Okay. Now this you will have to do it meticulously. Remember, it is not out of school's interest. Please don't do. Do it for your own interest and your own sake, because you want certain chapters that the child should remember for his higher classes. You can meticulously plan so that you will have the complete feedback. And if you have a maths teacher, you can even take a deviation, see chapter wise deviation, SD curves, and find out which is not matching or which is not coming towards one, tending towards one. So if you do these analysis, your complete learning environment and your academic planning will shape into better methods and will give you a better way of making learner understand concepts, that too difficult concepts. Okay, you can try this out. Yes. Okay, I'll give another break for 5 minutes. You can join at 11:45 and then we will have another activity and a reading part. Okay, once you come back, we will get back to it. 5 minutes break. Yeah, all of you back? Okay, so there is a poll. Just put it in the chat box. What percentage of your class should understand before you move forward? What percentage of your class should understand before you move forward? Put your answers in the chat box. Okay. Okay, Neelam says ideally 100, practically 70. Okay. 50, 100, 100, okay, 70, 90, 100, 80, 80%. Preeti ma'am, that number I didn't give. 100% should be our target, okay? All of them have answered. Preeti ma'am.
80% why I've kept like there are some in like one or two students. One is like she has an issue with the like she's not able to grasp very first, learning difficulty. So keeping that in mind, ideally 100% for sure. That is for
So if LD is there also, we are supposed to address.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so they also should learn according to this one, it has to be 100%. Okay, so now let us go through. Page 5 to 7, the textbook page in the material, visible learning and science of how we learn. Okay, we'll have a discussion on knowledge gaps. What are they and how are they formed? How to overcome these in your classes.
Page number 5 to 7, is it, ma'am?
Yes.
Scroll it down, Veena. After the Roman numbers, this will come.
Okay, okay.
Ma'am, is it making them think the demands of classroom?
Knowledge gaps, about knowledge gaps.
Okay, we are motivated by knowledge gaps. That one, ma'am?
1 minute.
Because that is 6-page number, like PDF.
Filling thesis, the thesis surely making them think the demands of the classroom is from there.
That's what. That's what. Making them
Then
think
the
the demands of the...
difficulties in using, yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes, if you have completed, you can.
Shall I start, ma'am?
Yes, Alicia.
Yes, ma'am. So, according to the document, I have understood 3 points, ma'am, that knowledge gaps are generally formed due to the, not going beyond the understanding. We generally want to learn what we already know. So we generally, even the students also, if we take an activity, they'll be more focused on to complete the activity because they already know it. But what we want to teach them, what new concept we want them to learn, usually that will be neglected. Maybe
Okay.
reasons are due to lack of prior knowledge, ma'am, and due to maybe sorry, again I'm using maybe due to the lack of prior teaching regarding that topic, and due to the misconceptions and not clearing the learning objectives, ma'am, of the class or the lesson. I guess I believe that these two will be the reasons for the knowledge gap in the first place. And for this, we have to give the clear learning objectives, and pre-teaching and pre-assessment is also required to understand where our learners are and what we have to teach in the next class, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, Shampa, ma'am.
Shall I?
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, this knowledge gap, like what I have understood from the document is, like there is a prior knowledge and we build up on that knowledge. So we are motivated to build up on our foundation of building, like that it is. But a knowledge chasm is where the foundation itself is not there. How can we build a structure? So what, like I felt, I was thinking, when we buy a car, we are given a manual. And what we see is, we only see the car, the exterior, the interiors and everything. We never read through the manual to find out the mechanical structure inside the car, where the different like things are positioned, where is the exhaust, where is the stimulator, where is the other parts. Because we first of all, we don't have interest on that, and we don't have any prior knowledge of these mechanical structures. I felt like that when I went through the document.
We want to buy a BMW, but we are not sure whether our roads can actually work for a BMW.
Yes.
No, that happens, right? Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's very nice example. Yes, Manjari.
Yes, ma'am. Adding on to Shampa ma'am's, in fact, theory, even I felt my foundation. I would like to give an example. It's like, ma'am, I have got this maths phobia. Frankly, the one of the reasons is because my foundation was very weak. And my teacher tried to build, I mean, never, those days, you know how it happened. So the maths mentor never thought of building the foundation. And on the top of it, the structure was, irritated. Basically the structure was there. I mean, the foundation was very big. If the foundation is very big, you cannot build a structure on the top of the foundation. It will definitely fall. So after that, I'll give you my example. After 10th, my parents somehow decided to put me in science. So I took biology, physics, chemistry. Because my foundation was very big, I relied on more of memory rather than thinking. You will not believe, ma'am, entire 11th and 12th physics, I only memorized. Even all those, you have those calculations. I used to memorize those calculations because I never, could calculate it independently, because the thinking process was not there, because the foundation was very weak. I never understood the concept at all at the first place. Why, gravitational force is equal to 9 point whatever that. So entire my foundation was weak. I depended more of memory. So now also, if you see, ma'am, if you simple give me a simple calculation, as now also I will not be able to do. I get, extremely, that phobia has already developed. So what I feel is foundation is very, very much required at the initial stage. So as a result, there's a lot of gaps, knowledge gaps, because of foundation. You cannot build a structure if the foundation is not very strong. The structure will fall. So I also fell apart after one point of time.
So that is knowledge chasm.
Yes.
That
Ha.
is not knowledge gap. That is knowledge chasm where the foundation is not there.
Yeah,
But in
but
a knowledge gap, there is a foundation and we are motivated by the knowledge gaps to know more to fill the gaps.
So what I feel that knowledge gaps, ma'am, because the foundation was very weak. So as a result, the gap is already there. You cannot build a structure when the foundation is very weak. Obviously, you will have knowledge gaps later on. So that's what I felt after reading the
Yes,
document.
you will be having. Actually, sometimes what happens, actually, COVID was the best example for us. Where this chasm developed completely. And even to this day, we are struggling, even though they have reached the higher levels, we are struggling with those students. Yes, yeah. Yes, Ushi.
Same like Manjari ma'am told. The same thing happened with me with social ma'am. Like the same teacher continued for 3 years. So like whatever she used to see the content only, like how many pages we wrote. So for every page, two marks. So that made me to like just fill the paper. What we are writing, we don't know. But then the final in the 10th grade, I really cried that maybe I'll pass or not. So really there was a lot of gap for the, even though even now I feel like social is a very big heart. So in another scenario for math, so math I am interested in doing math. I love math. I used to do nicely also. But the teacher who was teaching us, like he used to see the textbook part and all that usually I do very nicely. But when comes to the class test, he used to give very hard, like not from the textbook, out of the book. And I used to get only single digit numbers. Not only me, the whole class used to get single digit. This carried for 2 years. And in the same way, like my brother, he's also of same age in another section. They used to prepare their own question paper. He used to get 20, 35, 30 and all. So always I used to discourage myself, like what is happening? I love this, but why I'm not able to do this? So, but my confidence was like maintained. Yes, there was no gap. I was confident that yes, I'm doing correctly only. But when the teacher was changed, I again recollected, I regained that yes, I can do math, and really till now I like math. But here the foundation was attained even though the teacher was like not encouraging me. So that was a real time experience I had. And here, yes, ma'am, the gaps are really came after the pandemic situation. Even like now I have seen my students, like when he is not able to write the letters in a correct way, when I hold his hand and I wrote for 2 to 3 days, then really he changed a lot in the handwriting, ma'am. So that
Very
was really only for handwriting, because they don't know how much big they have to write and how much gap they have to give. That for 2 to 3 days, when I hold his hand, I made him, even though he was in third grade, I made him, and now he changed a lot in his handwriting. That's
very.
what my experience.
Ma'am, can I share, ma'am, one experience?
Just a minute. Actually, Saujanya is next.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Saujanya.
Ma'am, actually, just what Shampa ma'am said, what is between knowledge chasm and knowledge gaps. Knowledge gaps, she's correct, like knowledge gaps are the spaces or disconnects between what students know and what they need to learn. They arise when there is lack of necessary background knowledge, leading to challenges in fully grasping the new concepts. Knowledge gaps are shaped actually. So I'll go according to the PDF which I have read, how knowledge gaps are formed. It is because of the insufficient prior knowledge when foundational concepts aren't understood, or students may struggle with more advanced material, the insufficient prior knowledge. And according to the PDF, according to Dr. Norbert Squaz, research shows that when students find it hard to remember the previous knowledge, their confidence and willingness to engage with new material decreases. For example, if recalling information becomes difficult, students may undervalue it, thinking that it is not relevant. And according to this, strategies to overcome the knowledge gaps in class connect new content to the existing knowledge. using we discussed in the beginning of this class, we discussed about the scaffolding techniques, breaking it into small chunks and explaining these parts that gradually introduce new ideas by building on concept which already student know, and this will be extra add-on to the to the existing knowledge. And this will also foster curiosity by focusing on bridgeable gaps, break down the complex concepts, again the scaffolding, breaking down the biggest complex concepts into a small parts, and we can explain it. That's how we can overcome it.
Very, very. Yes, Shravanti.
Yeah, ma'am. As Manjari ma'am and Kushi ma'am has told, like when they are in younger age, they had this fear, and because of that, they could not. So this knowledge gap arises, ma'am, when the students do not have an enough foundation, and will try to build a new learning there, which will not fit existing mental structures. So as in their younger age itself, we should make sure that instead of having a new concepts and making it as a building block like on to the other and having a burden to the children, make sure that the teaching should be of manageable chunks. Make sure that the children are aware of the prior knowledge, so the gaps between this prior knowledge should be overcome, ma'am. And frequent feedbacks and the reflection gaps, reflection should be done to the children and give the feedback where they are having the gaps through our formative assessments. Even informally, each day we do it, right? We have to know it, and then we have to fill the gaps between them. And as maybe Manjari ma'am has told, like her experiences now, it was very good working with their children as it was an active learning. So when we are in learning stage, we have mostly of passive learning environment, ma'am. Maybe that's the reason they had a fear of learning, and these things happen. So active learning techniques really works, ma'am, in problem solving or peer discussions, hands-on activities, which really fills the gaps by encouraging the children, ma'am, with cognitive engagement. And
Very.
obviously, yes, and even scaffolding learning, ma'am, like instead of going directly to the independent work, like we expect the children to do independently, make it in each and every step wise, build their knowledge, starting with the simple concepts, ma'am, and then progressing, adding to them to a complex, which really helps the students to overcome the gaps, fill the confidence, ma'am, which was lagging, or maybe which will really keep them into this fear of a language or a subject, ma'am.
Very good. Very good. Yes, Neelam.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, as per the question, like about knowledge gaps. So why they are happening? Because as human beings, we are resource limited. Like as per the document, we are resource limited. So we don't want to use our energy in learning. So sometimes because of
We don't want to use our energy in thinking.
Sorry.
We learn informally, we learn, but
Yeah.
the problem here is thinking. We don't want to think.
We don't want to think. We will always try to use whatever is available. And also, as per the document, like self-efficacy, like we don't have the confidence that when we think and use our brain, whether we will succeed or not.
Yes.
For example, in my class, there are children where they are they enjoy the class, they learn. Whatever I tell them, they will remember and answer me. But whenever I'll pose a question where thinking is involved, where they have to apply their learning, they tend to lose interest. They don't want to think. So that is actually a challenge for me. So what I do is I give them they break the problem into simple parts. So do you know this? If I give them examples like, see, I know this I'm applying here. Now you know this, can you apply this here? So I just give them hints to build up their confidence that yes, what they have learned can be applied in a new situation, giving them different examples. So slowly their thinking capacity, like the logical thinking, they develop. So they feel confident.
Very good. Yeah, Parveen, yes. Now, because I saw you. Oh, yes, Parveen.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I wanted to share one experience, ma'am. When I was like seventh standard, I till seventh standard I don't know the Telugu letters, Varnamala, Gunintalu, and all. So my teacher she identified my knowledge gap. Where am I lagging? What is lagging in me? The basics and all. So she taught me taking extra classes and extra care. Not only me, with me, four children. So that is how I learned to read, write, and I have scored 80% marks in Telugu in SSC. So this is how it depends upon identifying the gap, ma'am. First, we have to identify where the children is lagging actually.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes, Garima. I'll
Yes,
stop
ma'am.
Dr. Manjari. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, my understanding is like, we can have say that there are two types of gaps. One is that everybody is talking about that the foundation is not good. So there is a gap. Another is that we have a bit of knowledge, but we are not, as you are saying, that we are not thinking and we are not trying to cater more information to make our, to fill the gap. Just for an example, like, in the politics, people are using reading newspaper. So in the discussion, if somebody has read only the headlines and doing the discussion, but they have not read the full content, so then there will be a gap. That you are talking shallow thing, you are just talking about headlines, but what this headline is telling in detail, about the parties, about their mandate and what. So that then I felt like, there is another gap. That gap has to be filled by, reading and by doing efforts. Then only we can fill the gap. So this is what I have understood now.
So adding on to this Garima ma'am's point, ma'am, I have seen the children, they become highly selective. They become very, very selective what they actually grasp. So if we teach, I have seen in a 40 minutes class, ma'am, only 10 minutes, those 10 minutes are very crucial because whatever the concept need to be taught, it has to be taught within 10 to 15 minutes. After that, ma'am, you try anything, they will not be able to capture, you will not be able to capture their attention. So that's what I generally make my grammar classes, whatever I have to teach them within 10 minutes, ma'am. After that, I go with an activity, followed by an activity. Because you cannot, ma'am, when it comes to the prose, play, poems, they are very good. I mean, they're pretty interesting because you're narrating a story. It is a lot. But when it comes to grammar, it is highly technical. They have to understand those components, the rules. So those 10 minutes are very crucial because I have seen children become very, very selective, and after 10 minutes, there's a switch off. If you tell them also, please come back, pay attention, they will not. It is not humanly possible. Even with us also as an adults, ma'am, even sometimes we switch off.
Very true. That's true.
We switch off. Yeah. So that's how.
No, we think what we want to think.
Absolutely.
We don't think what others want us to think.
Absolutely. Ma'am, sometimes even it happens, we want to hear exactly what we want to hear. It's like that. Our brain is conditioned in that manner. This is very selective things which we capture.
If possible, no, when you're free, you can read the book written by Daniel Kahneman on systems thinking.
Okay.
Now, this entire thing is about that. System 1 and system 2. That is thinking fast and thinking slow. So where you think fast, where you will be thinking slow. And why does your system act like that?
Okay.
Why does your thinking work on that? This one, if you have, you can read that book. It's just for your the time pass. You can actually go through it. Okay, it's a very good book. Actually, when there are complex maths, why does immediately seeing that, oh no, I can't do it. This feeling, why it comes? That is actually there. That is given there very beautiful.
Ma'am, can you repeat the
As
book name?
Manjari said that adults also have some inhibitions about thinking. There is a term called andragogy. Like pedagogy, there is
andragogy.
Yes, andragogy, where adults face problems in thinking and in concentrating.
That is andragogy is about adults learning. If we are adamant about the purpose, then only we learn.
Can you repeat the
Otherwise,
name
we
of the
don't learn.
book once again, ma'am?
Daniel Kahneman, 1 minute, I'll show you. I have the book here. This is the book. Okay, one. This is the one. Can you see?
What is it? Thinking
Thinking
fast
fast and thinking slow. It's a very good book. You can just read it. You will have a lot of idea about why this is about systems thinking. So we have to ensure that 100% learning happens in our classrooms. Otherwise, there will be gaps that are there developing. And sometimes it is not intentional. Remember, it is unintentional gaps that are developing. Now, the teacher wantedly doesn't do things. It's something that happens because of that unintentional. As Manjari said, 10 minutes of grasping time. After that, it's gone. So sometimes you see a fly coming in the class, the concentration of the child is on the fly, they miss the class. So these are the very important aspects that we have to think about. Next, mentor's role in your professional development. Just a quick recall. Remember what your mentor is needed for, and just give me a quick recall. I'll share this document. You can, if you have forgotten, you can just read through quickly because you will have an idea. What is the role of mentor? Yes, Shampa ma'am.
Ma'am, this why I wrote 70% instead of 100% is like the constraints on time in completing the curriculum and all. So like 30% we conduct remedial classes, no ma'am? If
Yes, you
suppose 20
conduct.
to 30%.
See, there is actually a saying. It is not about the curriculum, it's about how we deliver the curriculum that makes the change. Sometimes what happens is, as teachers, we think that this is important, we have to re-emphasize. But maybe the child already knows it. Most of our problems happen because we are not correctly analyzing the prior knowledge gap. That is actually, sometimes the students are very far ahead. But no, we sit and we keep on repeating that. The child is not going to tell you that, yes, I know it. Now, there may be 10 or 15 students or 10% of your class or 5% of your class who finds it difficult. Now, for them, you will have to handle them in your remedial itself. You cannot be spending your curricular time in re-emphasizing concept. For example, you get new admissions. Remember, we have a slot called as bridging the gap. Yes. So during that bridging the gap itself, we should see that this right prior knowledge is covered so that we do not lose on our curricular time. And no, this should be a continuous process. Again, one more thing is, as Champa ma'am sitting there as a leader, she cannot decide on all these things. Okay, me sitting, I cannot decide on all these things. The teacher who is stepping into the class, she has to decide on what, when, where to be done. Because you are getting a different set of students, leaders cannot decide. Remember, teacher as a leader must take a decision. The school head cannot take, or your department head cannot take a decision in this aspect. Yes. Yes, Manjari ma'am.
Ma'am, I have this question. There's a boy in my class, ma'am, who is very good in maths, science, and social studies. Excellent. I mean, he solves, complex sums like anything. Like he takes a lot of interest. But when it comes to English, he finds it very difficult. He actually struggles to think. See, when a boy is very good, he should be good in all the subjects. I mean, not necessarily. Okay.
No,
But
I
yes,
have
I
in
know,
my
not necessarily.
No, Manjari, I have one in my own family. My
Okay.
brother, my own brother.
Okay.
And mostly nowadays,
He
ma'am,
hates languages like anything.
So,
yes, ma'am.
I mean, ma'am.
But he's superb in maths. He's superb in physics. Okay, you ask him anything related to time, events, everything he will tell you. But he doesn't like, even to this day, You task him to read something in Hindi, he'll say, why are you telling me that subject? I don't want.
Same here. Same
Ma'am,
here. When I
even
give
see,
him, in fact, ma'am, so complicated sums he's able to solve, but simple like data interpretation, he tells me, ma'am, who invented? I mean, he hates that. But the thing is that how to bring him, because see, he still has to
You
score.
have to bring it in the mathematical terms only. See, when my brother was in school, I couldn't help him out. But
Okay.
now, no, I understand is, see, for example, you're saying data interpretation. Ask him
Exactly.
not to look it in from the language point of view. Ask him to look it at the mathematical point of view. Okay, ask
Okay.
him to see what is the difference between the two bars, the lowest and the highest. Why do you think this has happened? What do you think is the reason? Now he's applying social, he's applying maths. But remember, he's writing in English. Don't tell him it's English.
Okay. Because I tell him to think in English, but he's telling me I don't know how to think.
Don't tell that. Tell him to think in maths, tell him to think in social, tell him to think in science. But writing is in English. That's it.
Ma'am,
Okay.
here I would like to include one thing in that boy, when I went for just like a round and I went to him, I said that you think you are Gen Alpha. I then I know Gen Beta, Gen Gamma. He started telling about Alpha, Beta, Gamma and the subatomic particles and everything in English. So we have to make him talk and write on such issues.
So I think, ma'am, they prefer talking logically. So
exactly.
if everything is
Yes,
there,
they
logic
don't
is
like
there,
aesthetic
then
talking.
they will
They
start.
don't like.
Exactly,
So they
Garima
want
ma'am.
logic in everything, and English sometimes prose and poems there is no logic. This is
Absolutely.
all imagination. So
Yes.
that you have to put some logic into it, and then I think he will start.
Because the moment I say imagine, he tells me I can't imagine. Because that's what logic, because I have to put that logic, and being an English teacher, ma'am, how can I put logic like the why the poet has written? So he tells me, he asked me the question, why do you think the poet has written? God is, it's about basically a god, it's about God. So he's not able to. So for me, ma'am, I actually found the main problem with him is like he's too much logical, and I'm just the opposite. Because being an English teacher, ma'am, we always try to little fantasize, and
you tell him that it's a dream of the poet. And now think, if he is not dreaming, there is no balance on earth.
Okay.
Now think about those things and now you start writing. See, thing is you'll have to connect it in some way that the child has to bring. See, there is something called as God particle in physics.
Okay.
So you can always say that. Now physicists start talking about quantum mechanics and no existence of other universe. That is actually aesthetically connected to language. So you bring those connections, but for that, no, we have to sit and read things and no,
that's what
we have to have that exposure.
And ma'am, he came back from Kashmir and he met me. So I immediately told him, you give me a project on Kashmir. He just stuck the pictures and gave me without a single writing. Tomorrow I'll show her that. Then I told his mother also, see, he doesn't write anything. He stuck the pictures and he said, ma'am, it's self-explanatory.
Now ask him to write, what do you think was the temperature of the snow? What animals survived there? How do you think people would have conducted experiments there? Now, no, that sort of thinking, no, will make him write. Otherwise, no, you have to give him logic. You have to provide him with the logic base. Shravanti, yes, Shravanti.
Yeah, ma'am. This nowadays we were also, as a parent, I'm telling ma'am, my child is in +1. He's very good in all the other subjects. New subject has another that's Sanskrit. He is very good in Hindi also, ma'am. But he was telling like Sanskrit is not, Mama, you can't even believe like what else is going on from my mind. And the class is only weekly or 2 weeks once they'll have the class. By the time they'll get the test, everything is gone. In the last moment, he'll go with the Google conversions, translators. He keeps and he does it, which was like more than the other subjects, which was math or anything. He does like anything. But when it comes to Sanskrit, he sits for hours and hours to know the meaning, translate it, and to get into it. So language is real.
Language, some students have that struggling, but you will have to bring that logical sense into them. Then only they will. No, finally my brother learned Hindi because he had his first job in Lucknow and he was compelled to speak in Hindi. Other than that, he will never. He never learned Hindi. So
It's
there
a
are
practical experience, ma'am. That's it. That makes them to learn.
That's it.
So this boy, ma'am, only understood one lesson thoroughly. It was Albert Einstein. And he gave me the theory part also, E is equal to y mc square. Entire class was taken by him explaining the concept. But he loved that lesson because it was about Albert Einstein.
No, we have to connect him to something logic so that he will
Something
understand.
logic, yes, yeah.
So what are the characteristics of mentor evaluation? Please understand mentor evaluation is very important. Mentor must be analytical, not telling that this activity was very good in the class. Okay, the mentor should clearly state why that activity was effective in the class when they are writing the feedback form. What the learners, remember they're writing about the activity this side, what the learners were doing during that time also must be written on the right hand side in the feedback form. Okay, it should be stepwise written. Remember, mentor cannot miss a point. All the aspects of what has been done in the class must be written clearly by the mentor. And what the learners were doing also must be written in the opposite side or the learner's side. Then focus on agreed intended outcomes in the particular teaching method or learning activity. In this, one should be near the focus area, that one should be new, okay, to your practice. You're doing first time. Remember, it can be that you have done it, but no, you are doing it in a proper way as a new activity for the first time. Activity, and remember, it is a strategy. For example, you can't say role play is something that you're doing new. Because if your previous experienced teacher has done a role play, you can't say that, no, that role play, we are doing it as a new activity this time. Something that is unique for you, you're practicing it for the first time. Okay, you can have podcasts, you can have like how Veena ma'am said, FET simulation. If you have not tried it, you can try it now. Okay, you can have online word cloud making, something which is very new to your practice. Indicate how effectively the learning is associated with learning outcomes E, F, and G. Okay, active learning, formative assessment, and new, that is the coherency of the lesson. Confirm as possible how all the students have achieved the learning objectives or outcomes. You cannot say 70%, 80% achieved. If you say 3 students have not achieved, how did you work on them to get that done? Okay, you can say that, yes, I made a mistake here. So I corrected myself by doing this. Okay, that can be done. Highlight the key strengths and areas of development related. Now, this has to be given strongly. Remember last time I told you, must be very specific. The mentor cannot write that the group work did not happen properly. Mentor must write in the group work what was that which was lacking and what area you have to improve. Okay, that must be clearly written by the mentor. Okay, now further reading for new practices, you can look at active learning strategies. I've already shared one book of Hattie, Motivation Mindset, that is TWEX, Social Learning, that is collaboration, questioning you can have, metacognition. So different strategies you can adopt. Okay. Yeah. Any questions that you have? Any questions that you have or any doubts that you have on mentor evaluation, please?
Ma'am, I have a doubt, ma'am. So
Esther.
during this lesson plans, no, we are writing, like as I was in homeroom teacher, I can take the math or EVS also, ma'am. Till now, I was just taking the English topic only.
You can take for pre-primary, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You can take because the concept of mother teacher is in
Different,
this
right?
one, right? So it's not an issue.
Okay.
But that is only for pre-primary, yeah?
Yeah, ma'am, yeah.
Primary grade 1 and 2. But preferably pre-primary fine, but grade 1 and 2 stick on to one subject for your unit 2 and unit 3. If you have taken EVS for unit 2, stick on to EVS only for unit 3. Okay, don't switch subjects because your reflections will vary. That is the reason. Yeah, feedback form is shared in the group. Any other questions you have?
Ma'am, I have taken this observation of an experienced teacher in maths.
No problem. Unit 1, you can observe any subject, any lesson.
And in unit 2, I can take up social, no?
Yes, you have to take up your subject and any one class. Okay. And that same class should be continued for unit 3. You can't do, like, for example, grade 6, unit 2 and grade 7, unit 3. No. The set of students should be same.
Ma'am, in my evidence of learning, you have written over here, no citation in text is observed. So
you have to write, see, whatever references you're giving below, the same actually you have to mention it in text.
Okay.
The author name and the year must be mentioned. That's why I said see the exemplar.
That's what. Okay. The same thing.
Same or no, there also you have to write only author name and year. Don't write the total.
I
Only
have
author
written the total. Okay.
Only author name and year should be mentioned for in-text citation.
Okay.
In the brackets, no, ma'am?
Yes,
in the bracket. Ma'am, so author name, suppose author name dash year.
Comma.
Okay, comma. Okay.
Comma, year, close brackets.
Okay.
Yes. Kushi, I've done actually. There is a I've done because you cannot have a chunk of 25 minutes. Huh?
Okay.
We'll have to break it down.
Okay.
And please see that first you're starting with greeting, sharing of objectives. If it is not there also after your prior knowledge, there must be the mention of sharing of objectives. And you should have an advanced organizer. An assessment, you need not elaborate on your formative assessment. Remember, your formative assessment elaboration should come in teacher activity or learner activity, not in the assessment column. Okay.
Ma'am, is that outcome is from CBSE only I have taken, ma'am.
But it is focusing only on one part, but your objectives are focusing on multiple areas.
Okay, that's like one objective I have taken as an aim.
I understood, but look at your aim, should actually be the, what you can say, the larger family of your objectives. All your objectives should come within the aim, but it is not matching.
Okay.
That's the thing. And whatever objectives you're setting, please see that you're completing in your period.
Periods.
Yes, it has to be completed.
Ma'am, this unit 1 artifacts, do I have to prepare a separate page where artifacts, I write it and I have to upload? Okay.
Yes, yes, you have to have a, image or a PDF.
So there's no template for that artifact?
No, artifacts does not have any template. And the label should not be as artifacts. What is it?
Like, I didn't understand. Like,
for example, you're depicting, let's say, constructivism, cognitivism, you're depicting. Okay. You have to write my idea about constructivism and cognitivism. That as a PDF you upload it, or as an image you upload.
Okay.
Like mind map, we can make it?
Yes, you can make mind map. Yeah, if no other questions, we can call it a day. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
See,
you, ma'am.
which you have provided, ma'am.
CBSE training, like
Thank you, ma'am.
so the RPs, so they taught us like mind map, they taught us spray diagram, same as mind map. From one
You have different mind maps, ma'am. Mind maps are not one. You have Venn diagrams, you have word clouds, you have, what is it called? Cause and effect diagrams, you have bubble maps. So there are multiple types. You can have anything.
But Venn diagram, how do we do, ma'am? Like mind maps?
A common one.
You can have, for example, you have this, for example, in social federalism, state, center, and
the in between, which are the
combined.
common ones.
Okay, common one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can have even character wise also. Yes,
Yes.
Kush.
Actually, that is not the same lesson from CBSE. We follow another curriculum, another book.
Then you
So
look at what you can make it as a broader aim.
okay, aim I can give, but it should be from that CBSE, same
No,
sentence.
if it's not the book, don't follow. But
No, it's
write
not
a
the book,
broader
ma'am.
aim. Write a broader aim.
Okay.
Encompassing of the language
I
component.
understood, ma'am. So I was like in a thought that we have to take that line only from that book, that for
If it is
PDF
not
file which you
from
have
the
given.
this one, don't. If no other questions, we can.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.